All right, good evening. Time is now 5 o'clock. We'll call this work session into order. Our first item of business, we have a couple of employee recognitions. First, we'll have Chief Seiler introducing us a new firefighter. Hello,
Good
Chief.
evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. I'd like to introduce the fire department's newest full-time member, Firefighter Bryson O'Neill. Bryson grew up in the greater Chattanooga area. He once lived in Red Bank, but bought a house and started Daisy. But he started his fire service career in February of 22 at the Chattanooga Fire Department, and I've stole another one. He applied for an open position with us in June of this year, and we hired him in July of this year to be a full-time firefighter, and now the fire department is fully staffed with our 15 full-time employees, and he just recently got married too.
Oh, congratulations. And also, welcome to the team.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you. All right, great. So our next recognition will be introduced by our Public Works Director, Mr. Tate.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to formally introduce you to Caleb Barnett, who has joined our Public Works team as the new Streets Division Supervisor. Caleb fills the vacancy left by Ricky Reeves after 32 years of service and time with the city. And while those are big shoes to fill, Caleb brings a solid foundation of municipal experience and a passion for service that we're confident will continue that same legacy. Caleb comes to us with 5 years of dedicated public works experience, including a well-rounded background in streets, solid waste, and stormwater management. Most recently, he served as the environmental manager for the Signal Mountain Public Works Department and previously contributed to the City of Chattanooga Public Works operations. His credentials reflect a strong technical acumen. Caleb holds both level 1 and level 2 TDEC certifications, which level 2 is pretty tough, and in erosion control and prevention. And he also possesses a Class A commercial driver's license, and these qualifications position him to lead with both regulatory knowledge and practical field experience. Caleb earned his Bachelor's degree of Arts and Bachelor of Arts in History from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga in 2009, underscoring his analytical mindset and commitment to continual learning. Beyond his professional capabilities, Caleb brings warmth and integrity to our team. He's engaged to his partner, Sierra. Sierra here? Sierra. And his proud stepfather to Jackson and Vanley. Did I say that right? Jackson. Their home is made livelier by the company of 3 spirited dogs, Bendy, Roman, and Frank. Who could forget Frank? We make sure that there's never a dull moment. In the time that I've worked with Caleb, I found him to be genuinely motivated throughout his approach and invested in the success of our community. I look forward to his leadership and teamwork that he brings to the Streets Division and to the city at large. Please join me in welcoming Caleb Barnett to us.
Welcome. Yeah.
I'm just very excited to be here and very thankful for the opportunity.
We're excited to have
Great
you.
things.
And
Yes.
he is not shy.
Sierra can vouch for that. Thank you. We're so excited to have you on board. Moving along to our next item of business, review and discussion for initiating the disposition of real property, Goodson Avenue parcels. Director Slay. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Before we get into the specifics on this particular topic, I'll just want to share with you the details on how we got here. Initially, and at the suggestion of several current commissioners, an inventory of city-owned parcels was initiated through the Planning Commission, from what I understand, back in 2022, with the assistance from SETD at that time, which was the city's contracted planning services. This inventory was completed with 30 parcels having been identified. And unfortunately, it just remained dormant until key staff members were initiated into Red Bank, and that was in late 2023 and early 2024. whereas a site-by-site evaluation process began. This included my staff, public works staff, looking at park perspectives, what purposes do they serve, what purposes are they no longer serving. So several key factors were identified, and obviously one was as being active, like park properties or the impound lot. A lot of people don't realize that that is a city-owned property. It may not be active from visitors, but it is a critical piece of property that is unique to the city. Again, some other inactive parcels were identified, and then we categorized them into one of the following: either as inactive, but want to retain for a future use; inactive, to retain and activate; or inactive and disposal is the highest and best use for a return to the tax roll. So tonight I'm speaking directly on two parcels that are being recommended for disposal. So located off of Goodson Avenue, the city currently owns two residential parcels with the following history. The largest of the two was acquired by the city through a court order, and from what I can understand, most likely happened after a delinquent tax sale back in 1995. Yes, I said 1995.
Off the tax rolls for
That's
30 years.
off of the tax roll. The second parcel, slightly smaller, which is further south on the map. But again, it's a residential lot of record, and also was acquired by the city. This was done through some legal actions in 2013, where a deed in lieu of condemnation was accepted by the city formally through resolution 13-933. So that was more than 12 years ago, before we saw any revenue from this property. So regardless of how they were acquired, the highest and best use of both these parcels is in my recommendation, a return to the tax roll. So how do we go about doing this? So here is a process which is in compliance with ordinance number 21-1188, which shows us the way. It is a very thoughtful, a very deliberate process, which engages the planning commission. It engages public hearings, public opportunities, before any disposition of property can occur. This slide does illustrate how we would start that process. The commission is supportive of this process this evening. We'll initiate the due diligence process by first taking it back to the planning commission. They will take the lead on crafting an RFP for the sale and development of those parcels. One thing that's very unique to the city having the ownership of it is you can craft that RFP for any potential buyers as to what the intended outcome is and the potential time frame you want to see that. So again, the planning commission will craft that RFP draft document that will come back to this body for their approval and then for the formal solicitation to be released. Again, once that information is gathered, it will journey back through the planning commission with their recommendation that will be forwarded to you for final action. So again, tonight, this item does not require formal action by this board. However, it is needed for the support from the commission to move it forward in the process. Something I would like to add is it does also hit on 2 points of commission goals for 2025. May not be indirectly, but bear with me. So one commission goal is for low cost activation of city-owned parcels. I think this is as low cost as it's going to get when we use staff resources, draft an RFP, public solicitation, compliance with our ordinance to ultimately get it back on the tax roll with some residential structures. And the second commission goal is strategic economic development efforts with strength and community prosperity. I can't think of anything more important than having a dormant, vacant parcel back active with a household and with the city being able to receive property tax revenue for the future going on.
Absolutely.
Any
Fantastic.
questions? Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Director Slade.
Excuse me.
Commissioner?
I do have a question. Does this mean we're selling the property?
Correct.
Okay, just
Correct.
making,
Yes, disposition
Clear.
is disposal of real property, but yes, it would be for sale.
good, okay.
Yes. Yes.
That's revenue, thank you.
Can you just touch on really quickly about what kind of authority we have, like as far as what potential development could occur on those when that could be included in that RFP?
Yeah, so an example is right now the property is zoned R1. There are a couple of parcels that are adjacent to this that are already RTZ.
Okay.
So looking at your regulations, it makes sense to put together a proposal for that type of density development that you want to see. So pulling elements from a comprehensive plan, you may also see a rezoning that comes along with this RFP to initiate that process. So if the RFP is more descriptive of density,
Mhm.
if it's already been rezoned, that's one obstacle the developer doesn't have to overcome.
Right.
Yes.
So it could potentially be more than 2 residential units on the 2 separate parcels.
Correct. Doing an evaluation, especially on the larger parcel,
Mhm.
you can see that it obviously has the opportunity to be further subdivided. I would recommend that we subdivide something beforehand. I think zoning it appropriately and then letting a potential developer, contractor, evaluate it on how best to develop that property and potentially subdivide it down.
Great.
I have one
Any,
other question.
Commissioner?
Excuse me. Can you tell us what the size of each property is?
Have no idea.
Okay.
That's part of this due diligence is to get some more accurate, detailed information, and it'll come to you based on potentially square footage and what that potential could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And we're looking to sell these individually, not 2 parcels trying to sell in the same transaction.
I think what will come in the RFP would be that they be sold as a whole with the intent for residential development. I think if you get one interested, especially in the smaller, having the larger one, there's more opportunity for additional development. So, and again, that may change coming from the planning commission. There's no hard, fast rule of what you have to do. It's how best you want to approach it for future development.
Okay, great. Any other questions? So what do you need from us? You need consensus to just move forward?
Just consensus to move forward with this due diligence in compliance with your ordinance for the disposition of property.
Okay, I'm on board with that. Is anyone opposed? No? Okay. There's your consensus.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next item of business, review and discuss a proposed due diligence process for potential land acquisition. The Stringers Branch portion of the Red Bank United Methodist Church parcel located adjacent to the Red Bank City Park. Director Slade.
Thank you. For orientation and presentation purposes only, this proposal that you're seeing, it's for illustrative purposes. It is not a survey. It is not accurate. It was just a starting point to have a conversation with the property owner, and so we're having the conversation with commission as well. Stringers Branch, as we know, runs parallel to Dayton Boulevard and is located across a multitude of public and private properties throughout the city, with its celebration and protection having been previously identified as a 2024 commission goal. Additionally, and in support of Hamilton County Water Quality's TDEC grant award, City Parks portion of Stringers Branch will see a major renovation and a restoration of Stringers Branch happening later on this year. I'm going to say late winter, maybe early 2026. With this project, some big questions have come up. More so to the fact of what happens to the restoration project at the property line. In addition is the other additional questions we've received is, can this project be extended? Unfortunately, with most state grants, conditions of award are limited to public owned properties. So yes, the project will have a designated ending point at that property line that the engineers will design for minimum impact. But it doesn't change the fact that the imaginary boundary line is going to create a very permanent hard stop with not a lot of explanation. So over the past several months, I've had several meetings with the United Methodist Church board members. Greg Tate was successful in helping us make some of those connections just to have a conversation. So a couple of meetings and a couple of illustrations, more so to help them understand what is going to be happening next door at City Park. And then more so, what could the future of Stringers Branch on this section of the property look like? So I have formally been given their blessing to come to commission to seek commission's authorization to continue with the due diligence. This would require a survey, some evaluations, and obviously some market values as to what the value of that property would be. I think also what's important to know is Your ordinance on 21-11-88, as discussed previously, although it doesn't directly speak to the process for acquisition, I think it's a good footprint to follow versus disposal of property or acquiring. So again, that process would, if commission is on board with continuing, would again resonate back with the planning commission for some evaluations, looking at plats as they get proposed and evaluating those cost estimates and feedback from the property owner. So again, this just starts that process. There's no formal action required. However, knowing moving forward, there will be some expenditures. Onboarding a surveyor is probably going to be the most expensive thing right off the bat. But to start, to inquire, to see what that property, the value could be, and if that's an interest from the city to acquire it, it would become an extension of the footprint of City Park. And then hopefully, as those TDEC grant opportunities continue to come up, the city itself would have an opportunity to extend their restoration of Stringer's Branch on property that they have acquired.
Excellent. Thank you. Do you have any questions for Director Slide? Commissioner?
Yeah, I really like the long range vision on this. No, it's probably not going to be a short term process, but I really like where it's heading. The church property is one contiguous property currently, right? And then this would be a subdivision of that.
Correct. And looking at this illustration, and I stick with this one because this is what I discussed with church members. We just laid out a basic footprint of a 25-foot buffer from any existing building or the driveways. Just be mindful of your existing infrastructure and how that would play a part. Understanding that there would be no fences that go up, there would be no barriers. It, as you see it now, is as it would still be visually observed. The biggest difference is just that ownership. The opportunities for grant funding to ever extend Stringer's Branch, the protection and the restoration of that stream it becomes critical on ownership. Otherwise, you have private property owners who are endeavoring to take on a large challenge that grant funding just doesn't support. But again, being receptive to the conversation was my intent of meeting with them, to give them, information and a direct contact in as we go.
Leslie, oftentimes there's a particular issue coming up. Would you mind speaking to how we can accommodate their sign?
Yes, that was another, thank you for bringing that up, Martin. That was another topic of concern. The church does have a predominant sign structure there. It's not impossible to design around, but if it does become a obstacle for the actual restoration, then there may be the opportunity to jointly replace that or to relocate it. But them losing that visual presence of their sign, that was not a deal breaker as far as I'm concerned from a recommendation standpoint, and it gave them comfort to know that we are aware of what those are, and it's not a, all or nothing situation.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I think this is an interesting opportunity, especially considering the number of people who are under the impression that the city already is the owner of that parcel, because there is no physical or visual barrier between our city park and where that ends and where the church property begins.
Correct.
Except for the no alcohol beyond this point signs during our events.
And it looks kind of strange sitting out there by itself.
Yes.
People don't realize what that is.
Right. And actually that has been a tricky thing in the past when we've had food trucks parked in the church parking lot. So you can't take your drink to where the food trucks are for the event to order your food. So there's a great opportunity here from a continuity standpoint, stormwater standpoint. But just to make sure I'm 100% clear on the timeline and the opportunities, the grant that we've already received for the restoration of the piece of the branch that we already own, that whether or not this acquisition is made, that particular project will still end at that property line for now.
Correct.
But this acquisition would give us the opportunity to pursue future grant opportunities to continue that project all the way to Leewood Avenue.
In addition, it would also give us the opportunity to have a gradual transition versus a hard stop or reducing our Stringer's Branch to accommodate for that buffer that we're fixing to hit. So if we had acquired it while this project was going on, then again, the outcome could be a little bit more smoother of a transition between this project and the ending of its project.
Okay, so acquiring this property, even the timeline that you give, best case scenario, January, but you're projecting early next year for the other project that's on the books already.
Correct.
So if acquisition of this property was made in time, it actually would provide some opportunity for a little bit of blending at least.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that design would have to be completely altered or changed, but I think giving the design consultant and the contractor the opportunity to have a more smooth of a transition rather than a hard stop opens up a little bit more opportunity for how that visually will take place from one project to the next.
And you're confident that more grant opportunities like the one that we did receive for this past will hopefully be available for this parcel in the future.
Yes, I don't expect opportunities to go away. I think they will become more predominant, and especially for funding to piggyback off of a phase one project to continue for a much more significant impact.
And it's my understanding, based on conversations we've had previously, that ownership of the property is crucial to that acquiring
See,
equity
that's the deal
funding.
breaker.
Yeah.
Ownership is the deal breaker. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is it something we could potentially co-apply with Hamilton County Water Quality Department again on?
In the future, there's always the potential to partner with another jurisdiction for grant application, especially with water quality.
Right.
We do partner with them already
Right.
for our TDEC permit requirements. So again, it's just continuing that partnership we already have.
Thank you, Director. Any further questions at this time? Okay, you again need some consensus from us to move forward.
I'm not hearing tremendous opposition.
Okay.
or concern, so I think it's fair to say we will continue on this journey.
Excellent.
And this information will be available on the website. So
Okay.
Again, it's tentative, but that's the journey that we hope to carry this. Same thing with the disposition of property.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 4, which is on our consent agenda. Approve agreement with Volkert Inc. for survey and geotechnical services for Pine Breeze Road, Resolution 25-1815. Director Tate.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, the City of Red Bank Public Works intends to enter into an agreement for a geotechnical engineering study and survey on Pine Breeze Road to evaluate a potentially impaired stormwater drainage culvert. The culvert is believed to date back several decades, possibly a century or more, and may have been installed during the original construction of the roadway, coinciding with the former Pine Breeze Sanitarium. The historical connection is suggested by the stone head wall. The stone head wall's resemblance to the original sanitarium boundary walls, which remnants of can still be seen as the lower retaining walls still visible below the Hill Point subdivision. Given the culvert's age, uncertain structural integrity, and location beneath a well-traveled corridor, professional evaluation is necessary to determine appropriate repairs and to ensure continued public safety. To identify the most effective solution, the city has engaged Volkert Incorporated, a civil engineering provider approved under Red Bank's on-call services agreement established by Resolution 24-1644. Volkert will conduct a thorough culvert exploration and geotechnical survey as outlined in their scope of work, which was included in your packet, and with costs not to exceed $26,435 based on their published hourly rate schedule. This initiative represents a fiscally prudent investment in targeted infrastructure maintenance. Funding for this study is included in the FY26 Stormwater Municipal Budget for Engineering Services, reflecting the city's ongoing commitment to proactive evaluation and responsible oversight of public infrastructure.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? You covered everything that we needed to possibly know about that.
The Hamilton Avenue will be closed during the daytime.
Pine Breeze Road.
Pine Breeze.
Breeze
Did I say Hamilton?
You did.
It is
It transitions
Hamilton Avenue.
into Hamilton.
Okay.
Right.
We're not giving Chattanooga credit.
Thank you. I stand to be corrected. But that Pine Breeze will be closed during the.
Well, that will be determined. That's part of the study for them to evaluate how we may or may not be able to keep the road open for traffic. And it depends on what the findings are. findings may be as simple as, you know, we can slip line the existing tile and that will suffice, but they have to study the composition of the soil around it to see what's causing the potential erosion. Then they'll let us know.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. We'll move on to item 5, which is also on our consent agenda. Approve purchase of dump truck salt spreader snow plow for the Public Works Department in an amount not to exceed $199,966.12. Resolution number 25-1816. Director Tate.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, for over 2 decades, the City of Red Bank Public Works Department relied on a 1999 Mack Midliner dump truck with a dump body, a salt and sand spreader, and a snowplow attachment. And the Midliner served faithfully during its years through years of seasonal service. However, due to extensive corrosion from salt, chassis degradation, and the growing obsolescence of its parts, the vehicle has now become uneconomical to repair and presents a concern for city operators. In 2015, the city purchased a new F-750 dump truck with the intention of taking the place of the Mack with the snowplow. And the thought process then was to convert everything over, move the snowplow to the Ford truck, move the salt sand spreader to the Ford truck, which we did. But then we soon found out that the frame was not long enough to install the snowplow, therefore making the F-750 a salt and sand spreader only equipped asset with no means for plowing streets covered in snow. Early in 2025, in a cost-saving attempt, the department explored rebuilding the salt and sand spreader, and unfortunately, availability of parts and the cost of those parts alone exceeded the cost of a new salt and sand spreader. So to restore operational readiness, ensure public safety during inclement weather, the Public Works Department has budgeted a replacement through a Sourcewell cooperative purchasing contract for a new International HV 507 dump truck. This asset will be equipped with a Rogers dump body, a SnowX salt and sand spreader, and a Myers snowplow, all tailored for installation on the HV 507 chassis and procured for $199,966.12. This purchase is budgeted under the FY 2026 State Street A Fund, aligning with long-term capital planning and state-approved procurement guidelines.
Wonderful, thank you. And that's under our loan, right?
Yes, ma'am, that is one of the items under loan for debt service repayment.
Great, thank you. Do we have a question from Vice Mayor?
I wanted to see if you had a timeline for when this equipment would be
It
received.
will probably not be here by winter weather.
Oh,
The truck chassis itself will probably not go into production until somewhere around the December timeframe. So then there's like a 12-week lead, and then once the truck chassis is built, then it will be shipped to the installer to continue the rest of the install process. Unfortunately, that's just International Navistar's timeline. It doesn't suit us well for winter weather, but we should get it this budget year instead of 3 years later.
that was my concern, is I know the lead time on vehicles.
Yeah,
That's
they've
been really
gotten-
bad for all of our departments.
Navistar's gotten much better on their production lines. You know, all the chip creation and all that is finally caught up, and they've changed some designs on the trucks. And the salesman, he assures me that this will go into production as scheduled.
And we'll keep our existing equipment limping along in the meantime,
Yes,
or,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay.
We do still have another salt and sand spreader. We just, the Mack wasn't dependable, so we did actually have one that works, and Randy Bell is in the process right now of rebuilding it and having it ready for winter weather.
Great, thank you. Any further questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 6, also on the consent agenda. Approve an emergency replacement of the heat pump air unit at the police department through Bailey's Heating and Air for $11,680. Resolution number 25-1818. Director Tate.
Oh, here we go. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, in late spring of 25, near the end of the FY 25 budget cycle, a rooftop heat pump package that serves the Red Bank Police Department detectives' offices began underperforming, and it experienced a decline in efficiency. And despite the rising temperatures and service repairs of recent weeks, department personnel continue to operate under uncomfortable conditions while a solution was being worked by the Facilities Management Division, with indoor temperatures reaching as high as 87 degrees during those peak heat days. Recognizing the urgency and the impact on employee well-being, facility maintenance staff solicited 3 contractor quotes, and upon my order and administration staff approval, proceeded with an emergency procurement for Bailey's Heat and Air Conditioning. A replacement rooftop package was installed on or around July 23rd at a total expense of $11,680. Due to the emergency nature of this repair, staff is requesting that the commission ratify this expense in accordance with emergency purchasing procedures. This repair aligns with the budgeted provisions under the FY26 Facility Maintenance Division for heat and air system repairs and replacements, ensuring continuity of operation and safe working conditions for the City of Red Bank detectives. Then I'll answer any questions.
Thank you for taking care of that.
They were,
It's pretty miserable.
yes, and they were very patient. They constantly spoke with Justin and assured Justin that, just get it fixed and we'll be okay. And I appreciate the police department's patience while we did that.
Absolutely. Any questions about that?
I see we're only 1,600 over the threshold for being able to authorize this without a vote.
And
anyways,
we
so
tried, believe me,
very
we
close.
tried.
Just not doable in this day and
So
age.
close.
So close.
Well, but we had received correspondence from Ms. Perry on knowing about it.
Mhm. Yes. All right, if no further questions, we'll move on to item 7, also on the consent agenda. Approve an agreement for Urban SDK for transportation analytics, cost to be shared by Public Works and the Police Department at an annual subscription cost not to exceed $14,825. Resolution number 25-1819. Director Tate and Deputy Chief / Acting Chief Wright.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So Commissioners, this resolution before you is a joint request of the Red Bank Police Department and the Red Bank Public Works Department. This was actually this process was started by Chief Seymour a while back. Of course, he couldn't be here tonight, so he kind of let me take care of the procurement side. But we're looking to enter into a license agreement with a company called Urban SDK. The goal is to enhance traffic safety and infrastructure planning. Both the Red Bank Police and Public Works Departments wish to secure the license agreement with Urban SDK for analytical services that will equip both departments with curated traffic data sets. These services include reporting of vehicle counts, roadway speeds, and collision metrics, and include an initial 12-month historic backfill of collision and speed data, traffic volume updates, and integration of prior municipal data sets into a user-friendly analytics platform, which most people nowadays call a dashboard. Importantly, the information provided by Urban SDK is a privately curated and sourced from publicly available data streams. No personally identifiable information is collected or shared, and the platform contains no invasive surveillance or deep state controlled data systems. Instead, Urban SDK packages this publicly available data originally purchased and consolidated from third-party sources into usable insights that can be visualized in dashboards, shared across departments, and used to inform decision-making. This empowers Red Bank's internal traffic safety committee to identify roadway issues, review compliance, and recommend improvements, all with a high standard of public transparency and digital privacy.
Great.
Yeah, so I would just kind of explain how we would use it up from the police department side. One thing, if you have historical data for speed reduction or speed enforcement reduction, we can dial it in to streets, block numbers, and see where we need to place employees or officers to time of day, right? So that's how we would use it, just to, instead of blindly going out and sitting in an area, we would have a data stream that would let us know exactly where the hotspots are, where we need to deploy our resources. And just to reiterate that it is public information, like Director Tate stated, it's not, there's no private information. It's all public gathered information.
It's my understanding it's from like GPS and
telematics on cars and
Cells.
trucks,
Towers, okay,
Correct.
cell phones.
right. Question?
What's the physical look of the machinery, lack of a better term, or equipment?
Software.
It's a dashboard, like an
Yeah,
online
they
dashboard.
created a dashboard for us based on our needs. And, we're looking at traffic counts. We're looking to see, from this time of day to this time of day, how many cars travel through this section of Morrison Springs Road. And it will give us an educated guess on that volume, but it can give us speeds while people are traveling.
Is it the strip on the road?
No, it's all collected from data signals from your cell phone. Have you ever used Life 360?
Maybe?
It's the app where you can invite your friends and family and you can see where it's
Share
kind of
your
like
location.
locate my phone service.
Okay.
And it uses that kind, even though that's on your phone and I can't get into your phone, that still sends a signal.
Right.
And these companies buy this data from the cell phone companies and other people that have those services. They sell that and they package it up and they sell it. This company buys it and puts it in packages. They have demonstrated before that we could tell them, like on the day of the Jubilee, we could cordon off an area and they could tell us approximately how many people attended the Jubilee that day just based on the number of cell phones entered into that geofence. And nobody's phone numbers, nobody's faces, nobody's license plates. It's just all digital signals.
Okay.
And the thing about Life 360, it can also tell me when my wife's driving to Walmart, but it can also tell me that she's walking 2 miles an hour through Walmart. So it's that kind of technology.
Director Tate, is it the subscription, do we like renew it every year?
We can. In the resolution, it just says we're doing this for a 1-year discounted price.
Okay,
And we made sure to stress that we're not sure that we want to do this forever.
Sure.
We want to try it out, and they offered us, it's about, I think it was $9,000 off the original price that they deducted for, it was a special purchase. We missed the deadline, but we told them if you want us to participate, and they did, they made the price and give us an extended deadline.
Okay.
But we are just in this agreement for 1 year, and we have the option if we want to renew it.
okay. Excellent. Any further questions? Vice Mayor?
So I just wanted to differentiate between this service and some other, similar data gathering activities that we've done in the past. So it's my understanding, we've done traffic studies, but would you describe that as those are kind of point in time traffic data versus this is kind of more of a continuous live feed? Okay.
Right, yes.
So that's why it would be more helpful to you for patrol scheduling, things like that.
Absolutely. We'd have a dashboard, a map of the city, and it would show hotspots where there's current speeding or even historical speeding. So we have times of day, specific dates or days. So we
Okay.
know where to put people.
And to Public Works, I know traffic count is another
Right.
hot topic. So we've had to have several traffic studies in the recent past in order to
It
talk
gives
about
us a
sign
tool,
changes.
right? It gives us a tool also, when we get those calls on speed humps in my neighborhood, people are driving 70 mile an hour, down my road.
Every day.
We can go to the dashboard and pull up that time of day and see, did somebody actually drive 70 mile an hour? And
Right.
it just gives us some insight on people's concerns.
And I also wonder if that data might be more accurate because on some occasions we've had like a police officer go and, sit in a driveway and watch for speeders, but of course that changes behavior. Also our radar signs that we have, some of them have the capability of recording data, not all of them. But again, if somebody sees that sign, then again, it may change their behavior. So we might be not getting observations that are equal to the complaints that we're receiving from residents. Is that accurate? I'm imagining that all of this data would also be, you mentioned it might be helpful to our traffic safety committee that is exploring specific complaints like we've had in the Alden Avenue area, those kinds of neighborhoods.
The drag strip on Martin Road.
Yes, on Martin Road.
That was a quote from a neighbor.
Right.
That's a Linden as well.
in Lind.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead if you're.
No, go ahead.
So do we have a sense of how accurate like the vehicle count number is relative to like a real count?
Like if you put a strip on the road. or
Sure,
something.
yeah, like, cause not everybody has a cell phone or whatever.
I don't recall what they said, but, you know, a company like this makes their money by being as accurate as they can. I'm sure they have an algorithm that, you know, they run all this through
Sure.
that probably adjusts the data.
I'm sure I'm sure there's some sort of margin of error there.
Right. They said they said that they could accurately propose speed adjustments based on the 95th percentile. Now, according to the MUTCD, you know, in police departments, they work off the 85th percentile. So I don't know, by saying it functions to the 95th percentile, I don't know what kind of accuracy that makes, but you know, that was a pretty bold statement, I thought, for them to make.
It's been a while since I've taken statistics. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's
then-
a typical.
One more follow-up question. So this gives a sense for like vehicular traffic. I assume it may also work for like slower users, like pedestrians or people on bikes?
I would imagine so. I'm not gonna say yes, but I would imagine so, because, you know, just like I use the example of the Live 360, you know, it can detect if somebody's walking. So certainly, you know, and that's just based off of your cell phone signal.
Yeah,
How
I
fast-
mean, if you had like a speed threshold that you could.
Yeah, and
Set.
I would say it probably could. It could probably isolate pedestrians versus cars.
Okay.
You know, as long as they're in a, you know, like a geofence or something that we're looking at.
Yeah, maybe a point of conversation for another time too, but I am aware of another service called Strava Metro, which tracks people's activities while they're riding or running or whatever, and then it aggregates that in kind of a similar manner. So it's kind of a useful tool for the future for planning
Well, that's
bike
a
routes
question.
or whatever.
Chief Seymour, he reached out to several companies, and, you know, they said, oh, we can't do this, or we can't do that. And Urban SDK was the one that said, yeah, we can provide this service. And there was nobody else that had a comparable price, you know, especially offering a discounted price for a 1-year term. And this may lead to something bigger. This may lead us to, you know, looking at other opportunities, if we find that this is useful.
Cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Any further questions?
I'm also curious to the answer to that question, if we can gather data on more than just vehicular traffic, bicyclists and pedestrians in particular. So if y'all are able to find a follow-up answer on that,
I'll
please
be in
let us
touch
know.
with, I'll be in touch with the agent tomorrow, and or as soon as the mayor signs a resolution, I'll be in touch with the agent, and I'll ask that question.
Thank you, Kent.
All right. Thank you both. All right. We're gonna, I think this will be the last item we'll be able to discuss in work session. Also on our consent agenda. Item 8, accept the award for the Project Diabetes Grant in a no match amount of up to $402,300. Resolution number 25-1821. Parks and Rec Manager and Grant Writer Extraordinaire, Gravy.
Well, thank you, Mayor Dalton, and good evening, Commission. It is my honor and with humble gratitude being able to bring this resolution for the City Commission to allow us to accept this grant award. Before we get into that, I'd like to give a little background and history onto how we got to this point. So back in 1969, the city of Red Bank was applying for a land and water conversion fund that we'll talk about later on this evening. And in those original plans, there was to put a trail system in where Godsey Ridge is. So that is next to the Red Bank Municipal Pool and across the street from our Red Bank Community Center. Those plans were unfortunately scrapped along with a observation tower at the top of Godsey Ridge in those original plans. That sat dormant for a while until about 4 or 5 years ago. More steam picked up for possible trails over in that area with local nonprofit waterways being interested, and also at the time, I believe our Mayor Holly Berry interested in seeing trails enacted over in that area. Then in 2024, with our agreement with the Trust for Public Lands, they funded a trail designer to come out and do the trail design for Godsey Ridge. This was not just a design of flagging, but a complete package with cost estimates. This gave us the ability to be extremely competitive when we applied for Project Diabetes, having a shovel-ready plan to attach to the Project Diabetes grant application that allowed us to initially get the acceptance and award for this grant. They said that in the 18 years of Project Diabetes grant, this was the most competitive of all the 18 years. So it is my honor to bring to you Resolution 25-1821 to accept the grant award of up to $402,300 with no match requirements.
Just incredible.
That is the Tennessee Department of Health for Project Diabetes.
Okay.
It is a 3-year grant, so it'll be FY 26 through 28, and it will do a myriad of things, but to not get into too much detail because I know we're on a strict time limit here. It is to fully build out the Godsey Ridge Trail system with all amenities, including parking, fixing the community center parking lots, and adding connectivity. So that is sidewalks, crosswalks with flashing amenities, and also doing curb cuts on Morrison Springs to make safe commuting for anybody on wheels or walking from essentially Red Bank City Park all the way over to the Godsey Ridge. It will also make safer streets for the middle schooler and high school walkers and biking commuters for those kids to be able to get over to Red Bank Middle and High School.
Excellent. So exciting.
Any questions?
Do we have any kind of timeline on, when can we get started?
Yeah, that's a great
Once we
question.
accept the award?
So we are still waiting for the official contract from the Tennessee Department of Health. They're still writing those up. We have, since getting the award announcement, have gotten some paperwork to fill out. We've already filled out all of that. And so once you guys approve this, as soon as that contract comes in and is approved by our city attorney, then we'll be able to allow the city manager to sign that. And then we have already put together an RFP for the trail itself, and we'll be ready to launch that out live for bidders and different trail designers to submit bids to get this trail cut.
Excellent. And this is, I assume, one where we pay those costs and then we get reimbursed?
Correct. This is a reimbursement grant. It is month by month. So every single month for the next 3 years, I will be in tight communication with the Tennessee Department of Health, submitting invoices for reimbursement. So Chris and I will get to spend a lot of time together.
Excellent. Do we have any questions about the grant?
I do a little bit.
Yes,
What
Commissioner?
order of process do you see this? The trail first?
Trail is number
and the
one. So
others.
this fiscal year, we should, barring any crazy unseen circumstances, we'll be able to execute the trail and its full design that we have right now in the design packet with signs, kiosks, etc. in this fiscal year. And then the following fiscal year, we'll be focusing on the parking lots, and the third fiscal year, we'll be focusing on that connectivity piece.
I know there's been a published trail design, but can you kind of talk through some of the high points of that? Is it multi-use? Kind of what is it going to look like up there?
Yeah, and our the whole trail design and packet is on our website at redbanktn.gov. If you go to the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Division side of the page, you can see our master plan and planning initiatives on the left side. Click on that, and it'll give you all of the details.
And it's beginning, intermediate, and advanced trail systems, and they're multi-use. Is that correct?
It is multi-use, and there are different levels, but our goal for this is to really be the intro to mountain biking and hiking for people that aren't ready to go to, say, a Stringer's Ridge or for sure a Walton's Ridge.
Sure.
That's great.
Wonderful.
Jeffrey, where's Godsey Ridge, right?
Godsey Ridge.
Godsey Ridge, yeah, as they look for the plan.
Yep.
All the ridges around here.
all the ridges. And Commissioner Wilkinson, to answer your question, it will be 3 different sections. And then with the last year of the connectivity piece, when we put in that sidewalk, it'll make a complete ADA loop between the sidewalk and the first trail right there, which our active older adults are very excited about, and we'll be starting a hiking club there.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
Oh.
Love it.
Incredible. And will be very accessible for our students too in the area.
Yes, well, and part of the whole design for this was we had a stakeholder group with citizens, people from local nonprofits, and also from the high school. And the cross-country team will be able to utilize it for training, the junior ROTC for rucksack runs, and also a teacher's walking club will be able to get off the streets and into the woods.
Wonderful. 19 acres just sitting there for 60 plus years, waiting to be developed. It's
More
time.
activation.
Yes, that's right.
Love it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gravy. All right, I think we are at the point where we will have to table the remaining items on the work session agenda, which moves us to item 14, citizen comments on items on the work session agenda. Mr. Branham.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the time for citizen comments. Please observe these rules. Comments are limited to 2 minutes for work session or less, and the city recorder will operate a timer. Please respect her direction and conclude any comments as time expires. Comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to a particular commissioner, the city staff, or to the audience. The commission is here to listen, not to respond or engage in back and forth, so please do not expect a reply during citizen comment. At this time, citizens are invited to the podium. Please begin by stating your name and address.
Any comments on the work session agenda items? Okay. If not, then we will move on to item 15. Any other business to discuss? Does anyone have anything they want to bring up at this point in time?
We have 2 consent agenda items that we haven't been able to get to.
Mhm.
Should
I
we
mean,
just
I'll
move those
just-
off the consent agenda so we can discuss those?
I will ask that when I get to that, but yes, I was planning ahead. I was planning to go ahead and pull those, that we would probably pull those out so we could have discussion of those.
Okay.
I'll just ask for, a motion to that effect. Okay. Any other business? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and adjourn this work session and return at 6 for our regular meeting. Thank you. Okay.